Georgia, Alabama. Sports Live will be your go-to for all your favorite high school and collegiate games this fall. From the Carver Tigers to the Columbus Blue Devils, the Harris County Tigers and Northside Patriots, the Glenwood Gators and Calvary Christian Knights, the Pacelli Vikings and Brookstone Cougars, to the Smith Station Panthers and Russell County Warriors, from CVCC, Pirates basketball and baseball, and every tournament from here to Macon. We are the #1 destination for anything happening in East Alabama and West Central Georgia. Be sure to like and follow us on YouTube and Facebook, and stay tuned for even more amazing ways we will be bringing Georgia, Alabama Sports Live to you this upcoming season. We can't wait to come see you next. What is up, everyone? It's time now for the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. Thrift, Barringer, Rich, and Holdridge. And we got a lot to talk about. Thank y'all so much for joining us. What is up, Big Rich?
Here we go. Here we go. This is what we do, Thrift. I am so happy to be a part of this, and we got so much sports to talk about. I'm excited. Just a lot happening in and around our area.
Yeah, and it's going to be an exciting time indeed, Big Rich. And it's a great time to be alive, and I'm thankful for all the opportunities we've been getting, including being a part of the brand new Sports Visions 92.1 FM, 24/7 live and local. And you're going to get the Sports Visions radio show every morning during the week, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Sports Visions 92.1, the Sports Visions radio app. And today was the inaugural show of our new morning show, and had a lot of fun, a lot of guests. You came on there at the end, Richard. We even had Rick Beach of Kudzu and Georgia Alabama Sports Live. He joined us. We had coaches from Coach Purdue, Coach Steve Smith calling in. We had Debbie Crowell, Isaiah Crowell. We had Chandra Edwards, Isaiah Crowell's mom. We had Chandra Edwards from the Morehouse School of Medicine, David Boyd. Just the list goes on and on. And just we appreciate all the love and support, and we look forward to continuing to grow that. And I know you're excited too, and it just helps, with the partnership we got from Georgia Alabama Sports Live and Sports Visions. And we had a great opening show, Richard, and looking forward to doing many more. And tomorrow you'll be in studio helping us out, so looking forward to that.
I can't wait for that. This was a long time coming. People here in this community have been craving local sports talk radio 5 days a week. We have not had that since, I want to say, March 10th, 2020. After the pandemic, the other radio station in town shut down local programming, and there has been an empty void. And that's why I have always been a huge fan of what you and DJ Jones do, originally 2 days a week, on Mondays and Thursdays from 4 to 6. But now I've listened to the majority of the show, and there's so much to talk about that you and DJ can fill those 3 hours. And by the way, your very first guest of the inaugural show, the one, the only Jack Patterson.
Yeah, and I know it was awesome to have him on. We also had Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And look, we're bringing him on now. We had on so many great guests. And I think this is not a better way to talk about high school sports than bringing on the legend himself, who got up at 6:15 this morning after having a late night on the WRBL broadcast. It's Jack Patterson. JP, been a long time, but glad you're back on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, man.
It's been too long. It's been too long. I'm glad to be back on with you fellas.
All right, let's talk about this, Jack. Basketball is in full effect, and I know now with football, everything being done in that terms of coverage for y'all, you're transitioning into basketball. You see, we're gung-ho, and now it's region play, and this is rivalry week, man. It started off with Carver Spencer last Saturday. Carver looking like every bit the team that's going to win it all. And basketball now in 2A. We had Brookstone Calvary last night. Calvary boys got a big win over an undefeated region play, Brookstone Cougars. And then on Friday, we got Brookstone Pacelli. You know about that rivalry. Glen Woodley Scott. And then Carver Sumter County is huge in terms of, well, for one, second place between Carver and Sumter County girls. And then for two, for the boys, it's a battle of who's going to be first place in the region, just like football. Got a lot of great games this weekend, man, and I know you're excited about your coverage. So tell me, who are some of the top teams, in your opinion, that you've seen so far?
So it's like I mentioned on Sports Visions this morning, Thrift. Ooh, excuse me. It's like I mentioned on Sports Visions this morning, is that, and I'm looking at, like I mentioned that, once we get out of football season, I kind of do an inventory, all right? Because once we get out of football season, basketball season's been going for a month plus.
Right.
So I do an inventory. I go through every single team in our coverage area, and our coverage area is a little bit bigger than y'all's. So, we have teams that you guys don't cover on a regular basis. But I'm looking at the list right now. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I got 11 boys teams in the state of Georgia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 teams, 13 girls teams in the state of Georgia. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 boys teams in Alabama. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 girls teams. So we're looking at 40 teams that we feel like could have a legitimate opportunity to make a run in February. It's nuts.
Yeah, it is. And I can't wait to see how this plays out. Look at the region that everyone's in, especially in Muskogee County, other than Northside. But you got Northside and Harris County in the same region. Brookstone, Pacelli, Calvary, all in the same region. The GIAA makes for all these games some very interesting matchups, Jack. And I know you're excited about that. We got wrestling and swimming going on right now as well. But Hardaway girls got a win last night against Sumter County. And Jack was able to now take sole possession of first place. If this continues, which I think it will, they will be hosting the region tournament at Hardaway. I was actually talking with Coach Mills. I'm like, man, that your gymnasium is not super big, and that is going to be a lot of people trying to get in there to see all those games. But how about those Lady Hawks? Had a few bumps in the road this year, but I think they're every bit the team that can make it back to the state final under Coach Kelly Ellison and win it all.
Absolutely. The beautiful thing about that squad is they didn't lose a lot from last year's state runner-up team. They didn't lose a ton. Okay, they still got a lot of firepower. AK's back, Michaela's back. Coach Ellison has been building that squad. This could be the year that they can pull it off. And yeah, they had bumps in the road, but you also got to remember Hardaway played a really tough schedule to start the year. Okay, they weren't playing, just nobodies. They were playing some of the top teams in the state. So, you look at the record and say, oh, Hardaway, they've got so many losses to start the year. But at the same time, when you're playing top-tier talent, that's going to happen, okay? And it's one of those things that iron sharpens iron. And I think that playing a tough non-region schedule is going to pay dividends. It's the same thing that we saw Carver do for years and years and years with Coach Hunley, where they would play teams that are not anywhere close to them, and in most cases that are way bigger than them. Okay, and a lot of people would look at their record and say, "Oh, is Carver down this year?"
Right.
And it'd be the exact opposite. Carver's better than they ever were, and I honestly think it's going to be along the same lines for Hardaway, because Hardaway, like I said, they played a tough non-region schedule, but that's the kind of schedule that helps you get better for the competition you're going to face in the postseason.
Jack, we had a legend that decided to call it quits. Great coach for over 40 years. Dwight Jones ended up retiring from the Pacelli Vikings. This has just been a class act of a coach. He's in my book, he's going to be inducted in the Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Fame. Just talk about some of your fondest memories of Dwight Jones, not just coaching at Pacelli, but he's coached at other schools like Russell County, Hardaway. Just talk about just
Harris
that
County
relationship you had with Dwight Jones.
Absolutely, Richard. And, I honestly told him the same thing that you just said, that, when I went to interview him, after he made the announcement, I told him, this is not going to be the last time I interview you, because I'm going to be interviewing you when you go into the Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Fame. And, it's one thing to do what he did at one school, but he coached at, I want to say, 6 different area schools. Let's see, Pacelli, Hardaway, Harris County, Russell County, Auburn. I'm missing somebody because there were 6. I'm missing somebody. But to be able to leave every school better than he found it, I think that's the biggest key that you take away from Coach Jones's career, is that he left every place better than he found it. And it was so much more than wins and losses when it came to Coach Jones.
Yep.
Excuse me. He might not have been everybody's cup of tea, but then again, that comes when sometimes you got to coach hard to, get in the right state of mind. And, I think about so many of the coaches, the players that I've talked to over the years, because, I interviewed players when he was coaching at Harris County, and, he took Harris County to the region championships. I'll think about the battles they had when he had Taquan Marshall and Tay Crowder, going up against Carver when they had Jawan Pass. I think about those battles, and then I think about the battles that he had at Pacelli, the great games with Brookstone they've had the last few years, and him finally reaching the mountaintop and winning that state championship a couple years ago. I'm overjoyed that he's going to be able to enjoy the fruits of his labor in retirement, but it's going to be different not seeing him on the sidelines on Friday nights in the fall for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And he's a great man. The legendary stuff about him writing letters, handwritten letters to each of his players every single week. He's not a better man in the business. I read a post from Coach Roger Beck, and it was heartfelt and talking about what he meant not only to Coach Beck, but everyone at Pacelli, but all the kids, and how much he genuinely loved them. And I'm glad he got a state championship at Pacelli a few years ago. I'm glad we were able to be on his ride these last couple of years as he built Pacelli into a powerhouse program.
And to go along the lines of what kind of coach he was, if you go on the News 3 Sports Facebook page, WRBL News 3 Sports, when I did an interview with him, the last question I asked him is, Coach, is there anything you want to say about your legacy and about, your career? And it wasn't about him. It was about his players. It was about his coaches and about what it meant. He was talking about how he's had players who have gone into the military that have given him mementos from their careers and stuff like that. And how, players are still in contact with him. And he's talking about how coaches that were assistants under him are now head coaches at other places. And that's the biggest thing for me, is that it wasn't about him. Mm-hmm. He tried to make people better, make his players better, make his coaches better. And, you don't see that often, and, I just hope that more coaches can take that, those values that Coach Jones had. And, I'm really happy that he got his state championship. And, like I said, he's one of the good coaches for sure.
Yeah, and he's done an excellent job, and we wish him the best, and we know he'll still be covering or watching and supporting football. That doesn't leave you. He's still going to love the sport, but a legend is moving on, and that means a job opening is at Pacelli, which means we have 2 openings, Smith Station and Pacelli right now, and we're going to hopefully see who's going to get those jobs. So it'd be very interesting to see that. But I did want to transition from some local stuff. I wanted to talk some college basketball with you because I said we were going to do that Richard, can you throw up unsolicited? If you got an opportunity, can you throw that up real quick? We're going to do unsolicited hot take segment part 1, and then we got a part 2 with Rick Beach. Jack, Auburn winning last night by 22 against a top 15 program without Janai Broome. I think now you have to say they are the best team in the country. They're not a one-man show. They're deep. They're loaded. They play well together. They got senior leaders. Everyone buys in defensively. This team is more than a one-man. And now I think this is only going to make them even stronger when Broome does come back. You also don't have to rush him back. Do I think they're going to win out? No. They still have to play at Georgia. That's a top 25 team. And then Tennessee at home next week. If you don't get Janai Broome, you may lose one of those games. But all in all, for this season, I think everything's still at play, and I think there's no doubt they're the best team in the country right now, and there's a reason why they're ranked number 1. And I think they should be the favorite to win a national title. I couldn't say that 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Even though they got ranked number 1, I wouldn't say favorite. I think this year they have to be the betting favorite. Do you agree? You were there last night at Neville Arena.
Thrift, I do agree, but I also say this as a caveat, is that, and it's easy to say that right now. And trust me, I agree with everything you just said. The way that team played, especially without Janai Broome, huge, huge, huge. Okay. And then being able to have other guys step up. You had Chad Baker-Mazara, who probably had one of his better games in his Auburn career. Then you had Chaney Johnson show up and show out. Denver Jones. Miles Kelly was raining threes last night. It was a block party. They had 10 blocks last night. It lends credence to that point that you just made, Thrift. But one thing I've been saying all season long, and it's going to reign true, the SEC is going to beat the heck out of each other this year. Okay? They are so deep in that conference. 1 through 16. Okay? They are so deep. And it gives me hesitance because I want to be able to say, yeah, Auburn should be your favorite to win a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, man, there's so much unknown in this conference. I mean, who saw Georgia coming?
Right.
Okay. Who saw Georgia being a top 25 team this year? Okay. And they have a legitimate shot tonight to beat Tennessee. Okay. And not to mention, Auburn's got to go to Steadman Coliseum to play them this week. And that's a place that Auburn has struggled traditionally. Right. Steadman Coliseum is a tough place to play. So, like I said, it's far from easy. And I know they lost last night, but you still got a good Alabama team. You still got a good Ole Miss team.
Florida.
Kentucky's still good. Florida's still good.
Missouri now. Mississippi State.
Mississippi State, even though they lost, Mississippi State's still really good. South Carolina, we could legitimately go on and on and on. Okay? It's going to be far from easy. And like I said, I really do think, a la how we used to think about the SEC West back in the football days. The conference is going to beat each other up.
Yeah.
So it gives me pause on saying, okay, let's go and, go ahead and say, hey, this is the team that we, is going to make a run. Okay. Do I believe it? Yes. But I'm hesitant about it just because I know that it is going. I've been saying it on air, and I know people are probably saying, Jack, you don't have to call it that every week, but it's a legitimate gauntlet. It's a legitimate gauntlet. Okay.
Yeah.
And that any game you play in conference, you can lose. And that's mind blowing. We're talking about a John Calipari Arkansas team that's been getting thrown around.
Yeah.
And
they were ranked in the top 15 or the top 15, top 20 a few weeks ago. And that's the thing. The SEC could break the record for most teams that have ever gotten in an NCAA tournament. And if that happens, this is where I want to talk about as a whole. I know SEC had a down year in terms of where their expectations are for college football. But they still have 3 teams in college football playoff, a team in the semifinal. Yeah, they're not going to win the national title again, but look at baseball, look at softball, look at soccer. It's every single sport SEC has a team vying for a national championship. I'm talking about as a conference as a whole. I don't think anyone cares. I know the cliche, it just means more. People from the North are tired of hearing about it, but it's true. Every single sport, the SEC is willing to invest, which is why they got the top coaches, the top players, and why every single season you're seeing baseball, an SEC team, softball, soccer, volleyball. Doesn't matter, Jack. There's someone in there. Track and field. And now basketball going on its incredible historic run. I didn't think this was ever going to be the case for anything other than football for a long period of time. And now basketball has not only caught up with football, it has surpassed it. It's a better conference right now as a basketball conference than football this year. Did you ever think you would say or hear something like that, Jack?
No, Thrift. But I go back to what Bruce Pearl said about this a couple years ago. Not a couple years ago, a couple weeks ago. He was asked this question in a press conference. And he said that when the SEC started, and he said this isn't a thing that's just recent. This has been a thing that's been going on for the last decades, and it's just now starting to really bear fruit. That schools starting to invest and talk about invest in their basketball programs. You saw, invested in facilities. You saw Auburn go get a coach like a Bruce Pearl. You see Georgia go get a coach like Mike White. Okay, Arkansas going to get John Calipari from Kentucky.
Right.
And we can go on and on about the coaches, ping-ponging everywhere. But once again, these are the schools have made a concerted effort to be better at basketball. And now you're seeing, once again, I feel like it's not out the realm of possibility to see 11, 12, 13 teams from the SEC make the NCAA tournament this year. I don't think that's out the realm of possibility.
Jack, we noticed that you got the shirt. The Atlanta Hawks get a very impressive win over the Phoenix Suns last night at State Farm Arena, 122-117, welcoming back their former coach, Mike Budenholzer. The Suns have been kind of disappointing with the big three, but the Hawks right now 20-19. They do play the Chicago Bulls, which they've always struggled on a back-to-back. I don't understand why. But what's your impression of this Atlanta Hawks team so far? I feel like when they get everybody back, you got Onyeka Okongwu coming off the bench, scoring 22 points. I mean, clearly Trae Young is the cornerstone of this franchise. But what's been your impression so far?
First things first, the Hawks are playing defense, y'all. What a refreshing change of pace.
Exactly right.
But honestly, I just wish it seems like when they finally get healthy, another person goes down. Like, for example, Trae Young's not playing tonight. Okay. I really wish that they could just get healthy and string some games together. Okay. Because right now they've been straddling the 500 mark for about the last month. I just want them to get healthy and then they can go and push forward from there. If they can get healthy and string some wins together, I think they're a top 5 team in the East. I honestly do. We've seen what they can do against Boston. We've seen what they can do against Cleveland. Okay? I honestly think they're when at full strength, they are one of the best teams in the East.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. And listen, the NBA is up for grabs right now. Cleveland obviously has the best record in Oklahoma City. They're playing the best right now. But the Celtics got to be the favorite, even though I think they're kind of sleepwalking. That's what happens when you're a defending champion. Regular season doesn't matter as much. As long as you're a 1 or 2 seed, you feel pretty good. The Knicks are going through their lull right now. But I just like the energy of the Hawks. And whenever they're fully healthy, at least they're flirting around 500. So if they go on another winning streak, now they're 6 or 7 games above 500. And then, maybe get it back to 500, but you're still 6 or 7 games in that plateau and then go on another winning streak to get it to 12. Then eventually you move up in the standings. So I know that winning streak's coming, but whenever they get fully healthy, I just like the way Trae Young and everyone's buying in. This looks like a group that enjoys playing with each other. Did not get the vibe like that over the last few years. And I'm seeing Coach Quinn Snyder enjoying himself as well, Jack. So I can't wait. This is not my favorite time of the NBA season. It's kind of like June baseball. January and February don't matter as much. Players are trying to limp their way through the All-Star break. Games don't matter. And after you get after the All-Star break, March, now they start ramping up, wanting to start playing. We're heading into the playoffs. So not my favorite time of the NBA season. So whenever we get through this, I'd like to go more in detail. But mainly, I think we're both on the same page about the Atlanta Hawks. All right, Jack, tell everybody they can find your great work tonight. I know you're going to probably have a segment on, and appreciate you again coming on Sports Vision at 6:15 a.m. this morning, man.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, Thrift. I was delirious, but once again,
you had the Sonics jersey on, man. I was like, "Whoa, Jack!"
Yeah, that was a combination of two things. One, I was still tired from the night before, and two, I was like, you know what? Let's just do something different. So that was my Kevin. That's a Kevin Durant Sonics jersey, by the way.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, that's worth it. Yeah, those are vintage.
Doggone it. What's going on tonight?
Yes.
We got Warport Wednesday coming up. Mike G and Rex Castillo talking about Auburn's, ascent to being the number 1 team in the country. So we'll have that. We'll also have some CSU basketball over at the Lumpkin Center tonight as well. So we'll have that coming up on News 3 tonight. And then, of course, you can follow me on social media. I'm at J Patterson TV on Twitter. Follow the News 3 Sports team at WRBL Sports on Twitter and WRBL News 3 Sports on Facebook. And, of course, we got you covered highlights. And then Friday night, I know you guys have been promoting as a big night. We'll be covering high school basketball on Friday night as well. So make sure you tune in on Friday night for all that highlights.
You know what? Watch the game live and then go get the highlights from Jack and T-Red on WRBL News 3 Sports. Thank you so much, JP. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate it, fellas.
All right, Richard, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll update you what happened last night in high school basketball and more. It's the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show. You're watching right now the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show that is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, my name is Griff Gordy, and here at Gordy Eye Care, we have been serving the Bi-City community for 17 years. As a former state championship quarterback, I love the fact that I can watch local high school athletics from the comfort of my own home. So it was a no-brainer to support Georgia-Alabama Sports Live and what they do for young athletes in our area.
And without business like yourself, Gordy Eye Care, none of our coverage would be possible to be able to cover the 16 different high schools, the local colleges, and professional teams. So we'd like to say thank you to you, Dr. Griff Gordy and Gordy Eye Care, for your support of Georgia-Alabama Sports Live. And then you can make an appointment today at Gordy Eye Care with the number 334-291-5125. Keep supporting Gordy Eye Care and keep watching Georgia-Alabama Sports Live. Hey, and welcome back here to Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show with Thrift, Barringer, and Richard Holdridge. Thank you to Jack Patterson. Had to throw an unsolicited hot take in there, but we're going to have another one coming up with Rick Beach after this segment. We're going to go back to high school basketball and update you what happened last night. We'll talk about the main game, the primetime game we were at, Brookstone and Calvary. Brookstone girls, they've been on a 6-game losing streak. They needed that win bad, and Taylor Zawicki and Carson Galligan were fantastic. Richard, I'll let you go more in detail with that one, but Coach Kim Ellison got a big win, and now they go to 4-11 on the year. They needed that. Calvary goes to 0-3 in region play, 5-6 on the year. But the boys' game was a shocker because Brookstone came in winners of 6 straight. Calvary had won 4 of their last 5, but Brookstone was undefeated in region play, and they were 10-7, feeling good about themselves. And Calvary led from start to finish, Richard. It was a great performance led by Tyler Freeman, who had 21 points, and just overall a great team effort defensively to get a big win over Coach Carvalho's team. Jonathan Gordon's team now 500, and the most important thing, second in the region and 3-1. What a night for Calvary boys and the Brookstone girls.
Yeah, and what a way to continue rivalry week as these two schools will face off once again Friday, January the 24th at Brookstone. We did have some other games around the area. We were also at Glenwood for their newest area rival, the Beulah Bobcats, as now they are in the AHSAA in 3A, and they're in the area with Lee Scott Academy, Dadeville, and Beulah. So by proximity, Beulah is only 30 minutes up the road. This is starting to become a rival, and Glenwood was able to take care of business against both the Lady Bobcats and Bobcats. It's a good game to prepare for the upcoming big rivalry game this Friday night against Lee Scott Academy. And then we were also up at Harris
Well,
County.
hold up, Richard. I don't want to go to Harris County yet. I do want to stay with Glenwood real
Yeah,
quick.
let's stay there.
Richard gets ahead of himself, gets
Oh,
so
I
excited.
do.
But the Glenwood Lady Gators, they lost Haley Palmore, Richard, and there was some concern about what's going to happen with them offensively, where they're going to find the leader. Mimi Johnson has been sensational. 12-6 now they're on the season. They are undefeated in region play. Got a big win over Beulah. 13-6 now after that win over Beulah. They're 2-0 now in region play, and they have won 7 straight games, Richard, since being 6-6 and losing to Pigeon Forge back in December in that tournament in Tennessee. So the Lady Gators are playing fantastic, and Coach Purdue, I'm really proud of the way this group has turned around, and they are every bit have a chance to win the region because it's up between them and Lee Scott. And remember last year, they didn't even lose to Lee Scott. They were 5-0 against the Lee Scott Warriors. You didn't know that bothers Lee Scott. That's in the back of their head. For the boys, they're 14-5 now. Got a win over a 9-3 Beulah team. Again, that's back-to-back wins over Beulah, Richard. They're undefeated in region play. They are 15-5. They've won 5 straight, and they got Lee Scott boys who come in undefeated and 18-3. So I know you're super excited about that one. That's going to be on Saturday night on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. So congratulations to Coach Purdue's Gators. They're playing fantastic basketball right now as we hit to the meat of the season. You're muted, Richard.
Yeah, I know that there's no question about that. I know that the Gators and Lady Gators have got to be really excited about that. I do want to say, and I don't have a score update on some of these games, so I'm just going to run down some of these games that actually got score updates off Max Preps, and that's why I plead with the statisticians, the coaches, assistant coaches, please update your Max Preps because we talk about these games not only on our Georgia Alabama Sports Live show, but we also talk about them on the Sports Visions morning show every day from 6 to 9.
Exactly right, man. And I know Spencer won last night, Carver won last night, and then I know we didn't get the Kendrick Shaw, but good wins though by both of those programs. The Spencer Greenways bounced back after losing to the Carver Tigers on Saturday. Great win for Coach Quintavious Allen, Richard, and Coach Tench. They both now are the reason they're in the top 10. They're really well-coached programs.
Oh, no question.
The Carver Lady Tigers and Tigers, big wins over Jordan and Hardaway Lady Hawks. That's the big one, Richard. They were playing Sumter County, both undefeated in region play, and they go into Sumter County and handle business. I don't think they lose a game in their region the entire year. Now, they do have big ones coming up against Hoover and Marietta in an MLK showcase held at Chapel Hill in Douglasville this Saturday and Monday. They could lose both those games, but I'm telling you, a lot of these losses are to huge schools like 7A Hoover, who's only got 1 loss. Marietta, who's a 5 or 6A school in Georgia. Even if they lose both those games, I still like Hardaway coming in and maybe winning a championship this year. But a big win over Sumter County showing they are still the top girls program in the region.
And we also had Central Carrollton going up to Harris County. And Rick Beach from Kudzu Sports and Georgia Alabama Sports Live was on the call. The Harris County Lady Tigers ended up getting the 46-32 win over Central Carrollton. However, the boys did fall to Central Carrollton 58-24. This is a tough region. Stars Mill ended up sweeping Northside. You got Griffin, who won the state title 2 years ago on the girls' side. Jonesboro is always tough. I think that Harris County is going to have their hands full. I do think that they are the favorites on the girls' side in 4A in this region, but they're in a tough region. They've already got a loss to Stars Mill.
Exactly right. But we hope for the best for the Lady Tigers, but it's going to be a tough uphill climb for them. And the boys, they're just such a young program right now. But Coach Stephanie Ramsey, Janiah Broom got her 1,000th career points, and congratulations and a fantastic career by Janiah Broom of the Harris County Lady Tigers. Pacelli went on the road and beat a good Westfield school 46-28. The Lady Vikings are now 9-2, and undefeated in region play. And then the boys program, they also won by 20, Richard. Now that is 26 games in a row. That is 14-0 to start the year. And Coach Calvin Thomas's inaugural season at Pacelli, they won 66-47. And that sets up for some huge matchups on Friday between Brookstone at Pacelli. But again, Coach Calvin Thomas's team, they have the longest winning streak in the state at 26 games. Won the last 12 last year into a state championship and the first 14 this year. What a start for them. Great win by the Lady Vikings. And they look every bit the team that's going to try to repeat under Coach Bryant Thomas. You got Hardaway winning. All the elite teams. Carver got a big win. Glenwood won. Russell County got a big win last night in the boys program and girls. Great job by all the teams that are in our top 10 and showing why they're so well coached and well-balanced teams.
This is one of the reasons why I like Tuesday night high school basketball. Just about everybody is in action. We try to cover as many games as we could, and we covered 3 games, and we also included a senior night for Pacelli Wrestling. And I just love getting ready to call these games and getting these teams the coverage they deserve, especially when we get into area play. And, we're going to see some rematches. These teams are going to be facing off in the other gymnasium as they get ready for area tournament play. It's just going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun, Richard. Looking forward to it. And then tomorrow we got games. CVCC men's taking on Bevel State and a conference matchup. And then we also have, Richard, the Chambers and Calvary Christian basketball game as the boys and girls trying to bounce back, boys trying to continue on and win 6 of their last 7 to go to 10-9, a game above 500, the first time since early in the year that they are going to be above 500. Coach Gordon seen playing really good basketball. Again, Freeman was the main reason they won. He was the player of the game. His 21 points sparked them. Shaudell Everin was great. Liam Holcutt. You didn't have a great TJ Benson or Dylan Hostin game, and you still won. It's got to be an excellent sight because those guys are going to bring it, and you have their A game with everybody else doing their role well. Calvary's going to be a tough out for almost anybody within the GIAA this year. So that's going to be a lot of fun. On Friday, it's rivalry week, and it's one of our bigger days, Richard. It is. We have Glenwood and Lee Scott. We got Brookstone Pacelli and Carver Sumter County. Saturday, Harris County, Manchester, and Marion County, Chattahoochee County. 5 games of elite basketball, part of our rivalry week. Can't wait. And then the next Friday, we got Smith Station and Central as well. And then Calvary, Brookstone Part 2. It was a great game last night, a lot of fireworks. So it just continues on. But this Friday, I think, is one of our biggest Fridays where they have all 2 big rivalries in Brookstone, Pacelli, Glenwood, Lee Scott, and a region championship basically, or see who's going to be in first place on the line in Carver Sumter, and see who's going to be in second place for the girls in Carver and Sumter. I'm glad we're going to get it on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
I am too. And I do want to mention that we're also going to be busy calling games on MLK Day for the CB Hoops Classic. And Calvary is going to be in that. Pacelli girls, Pacelli boys. I'm really looking forward to that as well. And just another action of high school basketball and a lot of great games next week as well.
Exactly. By the way, we will have Baseball Media Day coming up January the 26th, Sunday, January 26th at 1:30 at CVCC. We will have our 2nd annual Baseball Media Day. This was a brainchild of Richard Holdridge. I'll give him all the credit for it, and had a very successful last year. And this year, now we're adding the CVCC softball and baseball program, CSU baseball program, and we're going to have 15 of the 16 high schools all on Sunday for our Baseball Media Day starting at 1:30. We're streaming the entirety all day long and looking forward to doing that and kind of kicking off baseball season. And we got Central and Calvary. We got Brookstone. We got taking on Harris County. We got Harris County and Glenwood. We got Central versus Glenwood, Northside, Columbus, Shaw. I mean, elite baseball programs that are going to be playing coming up in February that I can't wait to get. But this is a perfect way to kickstart it. Sunday, January the 26th at 1:30, CVCC on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Thank you to CVCC, to Dean Taylor, Ashley Landy, and everyone over there that is allowing us to use their facility to be able to host this great event. Richard, I know you're looking forward to it.
Oh, there's no question about it. I'm really excited about Baseball Media Days. We get to do it again. Last year was a huge success. WTVM's Tony Reese was there. I mean, this was just something I don't think has ever been done. And we got to do it. The highlight of Baseball Media Days was when Coach Kehoe and his 3 Central players went and displayed all 3 of their Central uniforms. It was really cool. You had some incredible moments. It kicked off with Coach Michael Long Jr. and bringing his dad, for the Carver team. We had, I think, wasn't it Glenwood? They had Tyler Sykes and Mason McCrane were all decked out in their or suit or attire. It was pretty cool.
It was an incredible event, Richard, and they're going to go even bigger and better this year. So we're glad to be at CVCC. We're glad they're allowing us to host it. It's going to be a ton of fun. So put that on your calendar. January the 26th, Baseball Media Day at 1:30. January 25th is Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC live show from their showroom that Saturday morning, and then it will transition into Glenwood Calvary basketball game. And you talk about a rivalry. Those 2 schools do not like each other either. That's Glenwood's biggest rivalry in this area. Of course, in the AISA and a part of their league, it's always been Lee Scott. But in the Columbus Tri-City area, if you pick a school that Glenwood doesn't like and doesn't like them, it is Calvary. Calvary and Glenwood is pretty much a big rivalry like Brookstone Pacelli is. And you're going to get that the 25th. So it's like 2 straight weeks of great rivalries, all on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back from break, we're going to have on Rick Beach here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. You're watching right now the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show that is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be right back after this.
Even though I'm away at college, Kinetic Credit Union is still the best way for me to stay connected here and at home. With the Kinetic mobile app, I have control of my accounts wherever I go. I can easily transfer money between internal and external accounts, get money faster by setting up recurring transfers, and I can find the nearest ATM or branch right from my phone. Plus, I can add my Kinetic cards to my phone's digital wallet and enjoy quick, secure, contactless payments. By the way, Mom, I need some more money.
Kinetic Credit Union, the energy for your dreams.
Well, Mom, I need some more money too. But thank you to Kinetic Credit
Which is
Union.
that easy?
Right. Kinetic Credit Union, thank you for being a presenting sponsor. And thank you to Rick Beach helping solidify that partnership between us and Kinetic. And we finally have him back on the show. It is Rick Beach of Kudzu and, of course, Georgia Alabama Sports Live with content, VP of Content and Creation. Man, what is up? Glad you're back on here. And we got some big news we'll be dropping just in a minute.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be back on here. Love being on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show. It's fun to do a little cross promo, a little cross platforms with us and getting the Kudzu and Georgia Alabama Sports Live and showing the people what the partnership, what the friendship and brotherhood that we actually have, what it looks like, and that it's legit. It's not just on paper, just something we throw on the screen every now and then.
You even hopped on at 6:10 this morning on the brand new Sports Vision Morning Show, too. It's good to have you on. I know DJ loved that. I did, too. Man, before we do and talk about some big news we have dropping this Friday with a potential partner in the media world, I did want to get an update on what's happening within the county, basketball, wrestling, swimming, and everything else. And also go ahead and update the audience about what is also happening when we stream county athletics. You're only going to be able to find it on one spot.
Yeah, you're talking about what's going on. We got the basketball season, of course, getting close. It's in region play, getting ready for that. The girls competing for that region championship. The boys super young, a lot of freshmen. Was on. It was a real good middle school team last year, so they're up to high school. Man, looking at a freshman playing basketball against a junior, senior, it's literally boys against men. A little rough on the scoreboard, but they are competing. They're playing hard. They're not giving up. They're not quitting on one another. So it's fun to see. The girls, it seems they're just something that hadn't caught fire. Last year they seemed to catch fire. Of course, they were 1 point away from the Final Four. A lot of that team's back. They have just something hasn't clicked yet. I'm hoping it clicks at the region tournament, roll right into the playoffs, and that's what you want. Then with a wrestling state tournament for team this weekend, they're going to be in Ola Friday and Saturday, competing for a team state championship, which would be awesome. Queen of the County, right here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live Monday. So that's going to be a big deal. Then getting ready for individual state coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And then moving forward, You're going to be able to see all Kudzu. Well, you'll be able to see the Kudzu Sports Show on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Facebook page. But
Right.
for all Harris County athletics are on Georgia Alabama Sports Live YouTube page only. So we'll be sending out those links. You might as well go ahead and just subscribe so you don't have to go and find it. You're going to get the update knowing, and you also can find it, the link on Kudzu's Facebook page and Instagram. I think this is a huge move, and being able to watch it, obviously crystal clear streaming YouTube as well. And it works out. Internet is not great out in Harris County just because of a lot of existential factors that you have being way out there. So this allows us to be able to have a crystal clear, perfect viewing of all the games and athletic events we're going to be covering for Harris County. I know you're excited about it.
Yeah, it's super cool that Harris County has an exclusivity of only YouTube. We're the only school in the Georgia Alabama Sports Live family that's exclusive to one platform. I think it adds Harris County is obviously a special place to me. I think it's a special place. And having its own little home, we have our own little nook now. We know if you're going to watch Harris County athletics, you don't have to look hard to find it. It's right there. There's a Kudzu Sports file on the YouTube page. We're cleaning that up pretty much daily. Me and Brandon Schwobel are going through it, trying to get that fixed up. So all you got to do is click on that, the whole library. But the best way to get to it is subscribe to Georgia Alabama Sports Live's YouTube channel. Hit the bell so you get notified. And be sure to hit the thumb on those buttons. Hit that thumbs up and like these videos, because that's how more people can get to see it, and we can show more people what a great place Harris County is.
And if you want to cover it, see all things Harris County, make sure you follow Kudzu on Facebook and Instagram. Enjoy what we're building together, man. And it's going to be a lot of fun seeing the baseball, soccer programs, all of them on the YouTube channel. So make sure to go and subscribe right now. So we appreciate that. And then we got another big news. Moving forward on Friday, CNAW2 News. That is the news that Colin Scroggins, and I know everybody knows who Colin Scroggins is. Many of you out there say you don't trust news unless it comes from Colin Scroggins. We heard you loud and clear when you said that. And they were also CNAW2 News, and Colin Scroggins was also looking for someone to help give them sports coverage. And we're going to be that provider for them. So not only what we got with Only Colga, which we appreciate them and the Instagram site and what they do as a social media to update you everything that's happening with events and stuff around the area. But also now CNAW2 News. Thank you to Jay Shields, Daryl, and of course, Colin Scroggins. This is going to be a great partnership. We're going to provide all the sports. You can get your news from them. So we are looking forward to it. I know you're excited about it too, Rick. It's going to be a fantastic partnership, and that's going to start on Friday. So if you follow Colin Scroggins, you're going to start seeing Georgia Alabama Sports Live on the page.
A whole lot of people. And it's great because Colin has become that guy for the social media to get your news. You're not getting it from the 80s, 90s. It ain't the old days where you come in, Mr. Cleaver cut on the news and watch the channel, the 6 o'clock news. Them days are over. Social media, Colin is the guy for that. And, Georgia Alabama Sports Live is now the show for sports in this area, and especially all the high school sports. Nobody has it covered like Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Exactly right. So this is going to be a value partnership and big news. And Rick, thank you for helping get this partnership going, being a little liaison. We had some great meetings, me, you, Chris, and Jay, and Colin, and everyone else. And we made some promos, and we got some other things coming up. You'll probably see me on a Facebook Live tomorrow with Colin talking about rivalry week. That includes Manchester versus Harris County. So I can't wait for it, man. And we also got baseball media. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, I was just thinking, tomorrow the Colin thing, then Friday it just falls perfect with rivalry week, and then the Carver-Sumter game falls on that weekend, so you got first and second place in the region. So we got great matchups, great rivalries this weekend, and, it's going to be great coverage, of course, with Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Yeah, that's where you're always going to be able to watch it. We got Baseball Media Day, I made mention, January the 26th. And then February the 1st, Harris County is going to have their Media Day presented by Kudzu on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. So looking forward to that. It's that Saturday. So Sunday, we kick it off with January the 26th. And then the end of that week on Saturday, we end it with Harris County Media Day. So looking forward to that. I know you're excited about Coach Tony Dimitri's squad and team after year one. Getting off to a rocky start, played really well towards the end, made it to playoffs, and you're excited about year two.
Yeah, you look at year one, you lost the first 7 games of the year, I believe. So you start with a 7-game losing streak, first year head coach in Harris County, and then you end at 1 game away from winning the region against McIntosh, who was a top 10 in the state team. So you was 1 game away from winning the region when you start off the way it did. It just shows what the team believed in. Coach Dimitri rallied behind him, and he led them through there. And you're hoping this year to get started, don't lose the first 7, have a little more momentum going into region play, and maybe you can go a little further.
Exactly right. And again, that will be February the 1st. You'll be able to see that on Georgia, Alabama Sports Live. All right, let's bring Rick. We already got Rick Beach. Let's bring Richard Holdridge on now for Unsolicited Hot Take. I saved college football and some Falcons for last. And that's what we're getting into right now. We'll start with college football, Rick. I know it's a down year for the SEC. That has been the biggest conversation right now. And obviously, who would have thought the SEC basketball would have a better year, more dominant year than football? But I'm not worried about it. I don't think this is going to mean that the conference is going down. You got buffoons like Brandon Walker, who I do not take seriously and would never take seriously, saying the SEC's done. Kirby Smart, since NIL became a thing, Kirby Smart's now gone downhill. I was like, NIL's been a thing for the last 3 years. He won 2 national titles during NIL. Great take, but idiot. Like I can't stand him. And anyone that puts him in the same breath as Josh Pate, I have no respect for you. But let's talk about this year. I think this year it belongs to Ohio State. In the last 2 years, the Big Ten has made big strides and charting to compete with the SEC. What's your thought on how the college football playoff played out and Notre Dame making the national title as well?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame. Now, taking something away from them without trying to take anything away from them, they didn't go out there and just absolutely beat Georgia. Georgia kind of beat themselves. They had chances early. They really couldn't get the running game going. That was the only thing that bit Georgia, ended up costing them, really. So you start thinking, how good is Penn State, what they've always been. So the SEC's down a little bit. Transfer portal obviously helped level the playing field for everybody. So you start taking that to account. And I look at somebody like Kirby Smart as the guy. He's going to find a way. You beat him one way, he finds a way to get that way to beat you the next year. So I think that's going to be something that Georgia, obviously they offered a lot to Carson Beck to try to come back. They got NIL money. They're not afraid to try to use it. The ETN announcing he's going pro. Maybe they try to get another running back in the portal. And they're just going to find a way to be competitive that way, to compete for national championship, because that's absolutely the standard at Georgia. And probably for, over 50% of the SEC, that's the standard every year.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to change. And Richard, Ohio State, they're the favorite. I think they're going to win Notre Dame by 3 touchdowns. I don't think it's close. Ryan Day is going to win his first national championship. And I said this on Sports Vision today. Ohio State kicked off the college football playoff in its entirety back in 2014 and won a national title. And then 10 years later, when they add on more teams and start expanding it, they win in the first year of the expanded playoff as well. I don't know what that is, what that's saying about Ohio State. Just an interesting fact. But they're going to be coming in big favorites over to Notre Dame. And I think Notre Dame's got to play so well in this. It is going to be uncharacteristic type game against the best team in the country.
Riley Leonard's going to have to put on the Superman cape, and Notre Dame is going to have to play mistake-free football because Ohio State's coming with all that talent. Jeremiah Smith is the best receiver in the country. You have Emeka Ibuka. Will Howard's been playing lights out. Jack Sawyer, is there not been a more valuable defensive player on the Buckeyes defense with that scoop and score against Texas? I do think Ohio State wins the national championship. They clearly are the best team. They are the team that has been rolling through everybody in the college football playoff. I mean, it hasn't even been close. The way they just manhandled Tennessee, and then smacking Oregon. Then the Texas game was a little bit closer, but Texas had a chance to tie it, but Ohio State was able to get the 2 touchdown score. So I just think Notre Dame's got to play perfect football in order to keep this game close.
I want to add in there real quick, Rick. I think Ohio State has now learned how to play championship football, which they have not these last couple of years. And I think that Texas game and getting a stop right there, not only a stop, a scoop and score, that may be the catalyst that takes Ryan Day's program from really good top 10 to top 3. And you start putting in that category of Kirby Smart and stuff. Is Ohio State your favorite to win it all, Rick?
Yeah, you think they're just a kick away in the Peach Bowl from winning their second out of the last 3 national championships.
Exactly.
Because they would have just dismantled TCU. Maybe not as bad as Georgia did that season, but they would have beat them pretty solid. I'm fully expecting 2012 BCS championship type game on Monday night when Ohio State plays Notre Dame. I don't think Riley Leonard has it in him. Even his Superman game can't compete with that offense. If Ohio State scored, the Texas game never felt as close as it really was. It felt like Ohio State was just letting Texas hang around, and they were dominating. They just wasn't scoring. And it's like every time they needed a score, they got it. When they needed a stop, they got it. And that's what championship football teams do.
Exactly. And I think Ohio State, too, a couple of things, man. This team is playing its best football because it needed outside motivation to kind of wake up the team, to allow them to dominate. But that Alabama-Notre Dame game back in 2012 was such a massacre. It was such an embarrassment. I mean, there's no reason Notre Dame should have made the national title. It probably should have been Georgia and Alabama in a rematch of the SEC championship game, if you will. But I'm with you on that. Notre Dame's a good team, but they're still not there to compete against the best team in the country, whether it be Alabama in the past, whether it be Clemson in the playoff, or anyone else. This is going to be the same thing. They're going to get overmatched, out-talented against a far superior team. Congratulations on making it, but you're not winning it all. I did want to end it on some NFL, a couple things. This Ravens-Bills game, it may be the most anticipated NFL match I've had since the Falcons played the Packers in the NFC Championship game back in 2016 when they made it. I have not been this excited about a matchup since that game in which the Falcons end up dominating the Packers. I can't wait. You get Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. That's going to be fantastic. Lions and Commanders are going to be a really fun game. Rams and Eagles. I look forward to it, but nothing's going to live up to the hype of Bills and Ravens. You can add on to that, Rick, but what I want to ask is how far away are the Falcons from being in this group of teams playing in the divisional round? Because I don't think they're that far off with Penix. I just think they got to make some correct moves, especially with the defensive side, to get them back to being contender status.
Yeah, well, first with the Bills and Ravens, the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen's obviously the hype. But really, that game's going to come down to James Cook and Derrick Henry. We've seen what Henry's been doing, but James Cook has been absolutely on fire towards the end of the year in the playoffs. But he is he's never been the dude. Now he's still going to be behind Josh Allen. But playoff cold weather, it's going to come down to them too. But yeah, the Falcons got to get defensive help. They got to get a pass rusher. They need, defensive end, the linebackers that can get some pressure on this quarterback, stopping the run. Giving up 40 points to the Panthers the last week of the season, that's not going to ever be where you want to be. I mean, look, Bryce Young, I know he's gotten better in the NFL, but the people around him, you give up 40 to that team, you didn't deserve to be in the playoffs anyway.
Exactly right. Richard, give me your pick. Right now, I had Lions and Bills at the beginning of the season, and I'm sticking to my guns in the Super Bowl. I think that's what's about to happen. And I would love nothing more than a Lions-Bills Super Bowl because something's got to give you. The Lions about to win their first, the worst franchise in history, or the 4 Super Bowls that the Bills lost in the 90s. You can finally move on from it. The curse, if you will, of Jim Kelly.
All right, so the four divisional games. I've got the Lions big over the Commanders. I've got the Chiefs big over the Texans. I got my upset. My big upset is the Rams are going to go into Philly and beat the Eagles. And then I've got Buffalo beating Baltimore. Last time these two teams played in the playoffs, Buffalo beat Baltimore 17-3. I think that Buffalo and that offense led by their OC, Joe Brady, is just on fire. Josh Allen has been proven that he is an MVP candidate. Lamar Jackson plays good, but I think Zay Flowers is going to be out in this game. I think that the Ravens rely too much on Derrick Henry. I think if the Buffalo Bills find a way to stop Derrick Henry, I think Buffalo wins this game, not only because they're playing at home. Look, these two teams played in the regular season, but it was in Baltimore. So Buffalo should win this game and face the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. So I got Rams, Lions. So Matthew Stafford facing his former team and Jared Goff facing his former team in the NFC Championship. And I got Chiefs Bills in the AFC Championship.
And guess what? That's what I predicted when the first season started. I still have my notes. Richard, I picked.
You kept your receipts.
Chiefs, Bills, Lions, and Rams. And I had Lions taking on the Bills for the championship. So can't wait to see those games play out. All right, Rick, make sure everybody can tell everyone where they can follow you on Facebook and, of course, Instagram, and then the big games you got coming up on Saturday and then Monday with wrestling and Manchester Harris County basketball.
Yeah, just at Kudzu Sports on X, Facebook, Instagram. On TikTok, it's at Kudzu Sports HC at the end of it. That's because I had an issue remembering a password about 2 or 3 years ago, so I had to add a HC because I couldn't get into the old one. Hey, I like to be transparent with everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're getting you just add an HC to it when you go to at Kudzu Sports on TikTok. But other than that, yeah, just at Kudzu Sports. Then Saturday, Manchester, which is always a big rivalry game. The girls at 6, boys at 7:30. Queen of the County on Monday. We'll have the championship round of that. So it's not going to be just, all the Harris County wrestlers. Whoever makes it to the championship, we're going to have that round. We did it for King of the County back in December. It was fantastic. It was fun. And we're looking super forward to this because the girls wrestling has gotten big in the last couple of years. I'm excited to see, obviously the program up here in Harris County, Coach Moore, Coach Rowland, but, Coach Scott at Jordan has probably the best girls program in the state. Excited to see where these other programs have become in this rare, fairly new sport.
Yeah, exactly right. So I can't wait. And remember, January 26th, Baseball Media Day at CVCC, and then Harris County Kudzu Baseball Media Day, February 1st. So can't wait for that. And we got basketball and wrestling all in between, and you can catch it all on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Well, from Rick Beach, Richard Holdridge, I'm Barringer saying thank y'all so much. Thank you to Gordy Eye Care, the official eye care of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Thank you to Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC. Got a live show January the 25th in their showroom. Get ready to smile with all their inventory they have on the lot right now. Thank you to Pepsi, Buffalo Rock. I'm literally thinking for the national championship, you're hosting events. Get you a cake and chicken sandwich and a platter from Zaxby's to feed the people, and then get you Pepsi and Starry for drinks to be able to watch that Ohio State Notre Dame game. And then, of course, thank you to the new sponsor, Kinetic Credit Union, and, of course, all the Harris County sponsors like Muskogee County Sheriff's Department. Thank you to Alabama Power, in Alabama, Master Wall. We got Rick Knight, who's coming on board again. That's a big one. So thank you to all of them out there. B Shears, of course, Derek Moxley, Derek Garrity, Big Derek Garrity. Shout out to all those out there, man.
He loves that nickname. Got it. I mean, I know you wrap it up, but Derek, he loves that nickname.
Hey, listen, and he gets on his golf court. He's got his Garrity hat on. He's loving every second of it. Well, guys, thank y'all so much. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll see you next time on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. Thank you for watching the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. You're ready to smile.